Welcome to the Future in 15 show. I'm host Caleb Parker. If you're tuning in for the first time, the Future in 15 show is 15-minute interviews with entrepreneurs and business leaders who are innovating within their company and creating the future of their industry. You have something called Trend Lab. So and I think
those are Trend Lab cubes, yes.
Trend Lab cubes. So can you take us through the process of Trend Lab?
Our strategy and creative teams here track trends that are occurring in the brand experience industry, as well as in other disciplines around our industry. Some of them vertical industry trends in energy and in people, in social media, in food, in whatever it is. Lots of different trends that are impacting our industry. They do have an impact ultimately on the experience industry. Mm-hmm. We track them, we define them. We then use this, we call Trend Lab format, to say, let's look at all of the trends that we're tracking. Let's work with the client for them to pull out the trends that they think are most relevant to what they're trying to achieve. And we then look at those trends and say, how do we respond to this trend in terms of how we craft our brand experiences moving forward? What do we do now? What would look different if, in fact, we took advantage of this trend as a way of starting to build roadmaps to the future direction of our experiences?
Interesting. Can you give an example of maybe a client that you work with and a trend that you've brought into the brand experience?
Well, I'm on my way to visit a client in Chicago to do a brand experience lab on Friday. I think there are lots of. It's a good way of getting a client engaged. It's not about us talking; it's about them talking. But it's one thing to sit there and say, tell us what trends or concerns you have. It's another thing to say, here's a whole bunch of trends we collected, sort through them and tell me which ones are most important to you. And when we do that, they tend to get very engaged, and the whole process happens a lot more smoothly than asking them to originate content on the spot. It's a lot more challenging.
And so once you bring those trends in, you select it with your client. When you bring it into the event, sorry to say that, when you bring it into the event, what is the purpose? What do you want the delegates to walk away? How does that trend connect to the delegates?
Well, I mean, for example, a trend would be, I would say, changing learning formats, for example. Let's just say that's a trend. The whole traditional, sage on stage model is pretty stale. And it's not very engaging. And I'll tell you, I've gone to lots of events where half the audience is on their phone while the speaker's speaking. I mean, that's not to say the speaker wasn't good. It's not saying that the setting was terrible. It's just a very impersonal, non-engaging, passive environment that most people don't have the attention span for, including me, for sure. So I think here's a trend. People are learning in different kinds of formats. They're learning today using video. They're learning today using a combination of live and online experience. They're learning today in smaller, more diverse groups. They're learning over distances. They're learning in different, environments. So I think the reality of it is, how do we bring those different? Here's a classic example. What would we do to bring, given our goals, given our knowledge of our audience, given what we know we want to achieve, how could we change up the format to make it more engaging, to make it more fun, to make it more interesting, to make it something that they stay attentive to, that they want to be part of? It could be a matter of moving the furniture. It could be very simple, but the fact is that we know that the traditional format model is not working as well as it used to. So what can we do to think about new ways of doing that? And it's just open our minds up. We could brainstorm lots of different formats and ideas.